Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of True Crime with Strategic. Got an interesting story for you guys today. An update on this Lilly and Jack case. A lot to talk about, a lot to go through, but I'm here for it, and I'm trying to follow this case and give you guys as much information as I can get in the time that I have to give it to you. So big shout out to everybody who's going to join me today on this impromptu live. We do appreciate you, and I hope that you will hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Few things. Number one, I am feeling under the weather. For those of you who are part of the membership, I think I told the membership that my son got sick and we had to go to the hospital. He's good now. He's good. He's good. Turns out he just had like a version of the rhinovirus, which is the common cold, and I caught it too, man. So my energy feels decent, but you know, when you have that cold and it's up here, it kind of weighs you down. So my voice is gonna be a little bit off, but I'm gonna try and make sure I keep my energy up so I can relay to you guys these new facts that are coming out. So just bear with me. I might have to clear my throat every now and then, but just know that, you know, I'm here for it. I'm here for you. So if I'm here for you and I'm not feeling well, I definitely appreciate you guys being here for me. And, you know, just cut me some slack if I'm not the usual overly excitable strategic, right? Big shout out to everybody who's in the room. Aki's in the building. Thanks, sis, for coming through as usual and showing love, moderating. So guys, please be good to the little sister. Don't, you know, say things inappropriate. Don't make her work too hard. You know, express yourselves in a respectful manner as we go through this topic and talk about this sensitive story. If we have time, this is not going to be a super long live. If we have time, I might come back and do another live on another serious topic, a different case, before I go to work. But we may not have time. We might do that show tomorrow instead. All right. So if you guys are new to the channel, I'm an active duty sex crimes detective, 18 and a half years so far with law enforcement experience. Most of my experience has been being a sex crimes detective and investigator in various law enforcement agencies in the state of New York. I'm still actively working. I have a caseload. When I leave here, I'm going to be dealing with victims of sex crimes. So I'm bringing to you up to date, right at this moment, expertise in the field of these type of heinous investigations, right? So if you're here and you're joining us, please consider joining us and hitting that like button. Before we get started, I want to share with you something interesting that, like, a stranger kind of figured me out. A stranger figured me out on the internet, and I love it so much I'm going to share it with you. And Aki's going to get mad. She's not going to get mad. So I was trolling the internets, right, on the Reddit. And I kind of try and stay away from Reddit. Reddit is a very interesting place, but there's a lot of things on there that I just want to stay away from. And I went into a room and people were discussing me. And one person said, I love Strategic. He's a really good channel. You know, I really appreciate the expertise that he brings to the platform. And another person says, yo, I hate Strategic, man. I don't like his style. I'm not feeling him. He yells too much. Totally okay. You can't be for everybody. But why am I telling you a story? Because another person came on and then they said, you know what? I don't know. I kind of like Strategic. He's a nice guy. He reminds me of a big kid who finally found something that they really enjoy, and now they're having a whole lot of fun with it. And then another person came after them and says, and he really likes his new computer. And that really expresses exactly how I feel about YouTube. Yes, I am a big kid, man. And that's what keeps me sane in the insanity of my life when I have to deal with all these different horrible circumstances that brings people to me in my day job. Being a big kid, continuing to smile, trying to find, you know, the lighthearted part of a situation. I'll be talking to a victim, and sometimes, often, I'll make them smile. They've just experienced so much tragedy, but we could sneak in a little joke that just put a smile on their face. And not always, I mean, I've never had a bad reaction, but not always, but sometimes, weeks and months later, a person will come back, because these relationships that we have, these professional relationships, when we're doing sex crimes cases, sometimes last months and months, sometimes years. I just told you guys I wrapped up a case that took 2 years to finally get an indictment. sometimes a person will come back and say, I remember when you made me smile and I needed that. And thank you. And the other one I got recently is, it wasn't even my case. The person was sitting in the waiting room and I said, I'm going to get some coffee. Do you want some coffee? And I was like, yeah, I need some coffee. This is a person who just was a victim of a heinous crime. And I went, and they were in the middle of the interview with my colleague, and I knocked on the door and I brought them that coffee. They were crying and they said, thank you so much. And they mixed the coffee up out of me and I left, and I don't know their name. And then weeks later, I walk in and that person is in a waiting room, because sometimes it's a multi-step process when we're interviewing people. And they said, you're the one who gave me the coffee. And I was like, and I almost forgot. And they're like, I was like, yeah. And they're like, thank you. I needed that. So yeah, that person summed me up perfectly. I am a big kid and I love doing YouTube. I love this community that we're building, and I love spending time with you guys when I have the time to have these conversations. And I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for giving me your time, giving me your confidence, and giving me your trust that when you listen to my show, you know that somebody is trying to authentically present to you the facts as best as he knows it. I'm not always going to get it right. My expertise and all my experience does not make me God. I'm going to get things wrong sometimes. But all I want you as the audience to know is that I'm coming to this space from the right place. And if you trust me with that you believe that I'm coming from the right place, then I'm doing my job. And I just wanted to say thank you. And when I read that, it really touched me in my heart, because it's just such a small, benign statement, but the person actually figured me out. I'm having a really good time spending time with you guys and building this community with you. So thank you so much for joining True Crime Strategic. Thank you for allowing me into your homes, into your life, into your sphere. And let's keep going, man. Let's keep going. All right. Before we go, let me just read this highlighted comment. Dog and Cat Lover says, I named my kitten Strategic. I love it. I love it. Now, Dog and Cat Lover, you know what you got to do, right? You got to send us a picture of your kitten. You got to send us a picture of your kitten. And if you give us permission, I want to put that kitten on a shirt. You got to give us permission, because we ain't giving you a cut. But if you want to and you send us a picture, I want to see the picture, period. But if you want to and you give us additional permission, I'd love to put that beautiful kitten on a shirt. So thank you so much for naming your kitten Strategic. I'm sure it's going to be the best kitten in your litter. All right. So guys, what are we here for today? We're here for Lilly and Jack, guys. I want to talk about a few of the updates that have come out. Some of you guys may have heard this stuff before. I don't know. We don't break news on this channel. You guys know, once again, I'm out there fighting a good fight in the real world. So I can only do this show when I have time, which means I don't have time to break news like some of the larger YouTube channels. God bless them. So we'll get to the information when we get to it with our own spin, with our expertise behind it. So we're going to go through this information. Hopefully it's going to be probative for you. And, you know, we'll keep the discussion going in the comment section. So let's get started with this little press conference that they gave, just a small one, where they're asking for more information. We're going to talk about the lie detector test. We're going to talk about some of the video footage that they've gotten. And then we're going to talk about the Canadian government's kind of perspective on what we're doing here on YouTube. I think it's going to be a really good show. Let's get into it, guys. Let me go ahead and make this big. Boom. All right, let's do it.
As the missing persons investigation into the disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan continues, we are appealing to the public for additional video footage. Investigators have collected hours of video from areas surrounding Lansdowne Station. Based on details gathered so far, we have confirmed that Lilly and Jack were observed in public with family members on the afternoon of May 1st. Investigators are now asking anyone who has dash cam footage or video along Garlick Road between noon on April 28th and noon on May 2nd to contact Northeast Nova RCMP Major Crime Unit. Investigators remain committed to exploring all possibilities surrounding the children's disappearance. To date, more than 355 tips have been received, and we are following up on the information provided. RCMP officers have also formally interviewed over 50 people, with more interviews planned in the coming days. Investigative work is ongoing following the large-scale ground and air search that began immediately after the children were reported missing on May 2nd. Hundreds of searchers, multiple dogs, a variety of drones, an underwater recovery team, and several aircraft scoured a heavily wooded 5.5 square kilometer area before search efforts were scaled back on May 7th. Additional searches took place on May 8th, May 9th, May 17th, and May 18th. Any future searches will be determined based on the course of the investigation. RCMP officers from various teams are fully engaged in finding out what happened to Jack and Lily. We're using all tools and resources to determine the circumstances of their disappearance. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of Jack and Lily, or who has video footage to share with police, is asked to call the Northeast Nova Major Crimes Unit. To remain anonymous, you can also contact Nova Scotia Crime Stoppers.
All right, interesting stuff here. They're asking for more information. Before we go deeper into this, big shout out to Luna. Was it Luna? Yeah, Luna 111. She says, can you look into the 15-year-old missing girl in Utah who's still missing? I think she's still alive. We actually had a meeting on this, me and Aki earlier, and I told her, hey, listen, let the research crew know that we need more information on this because I want to cover this because I think she's still alive. You guys know I'm usually correct when I say who's with us and who's no longer with us. I think she's still with us, but she's just on the run with the PD file with one of the PD files of many that she either met or she was planning to meet. There are many of them that she met or was planning to meet, but she's with one of them out of that many that she met, and they're probably traveling the country right now trying to stay out of sight, out of mind, so that PD file can have, you know, his wears and tears before he eventually gets caught rather. I don't think that she's no longer with us. I think she is alive, and I want to cover this because I want to bring awareness to this so hopefully we can find this beautiful little girl. Unfortunately, there's stuff that was going on with this young woman long before she went missing. There's stuff that was going on with this girl. I'm telling you right now, as a professional who has dealt with these children, okay? I investigate 13 all the way up to to senior citizen, all right? There is a squad that investigates 12 and under. That's actually the child squad. I'm not a part of the child squad. I'm the adult special victim squad, but I investigate 13 and up, okay? And dealing with teenagers, which is my specialty, okay? They usually act like this when they've dealt with a ton of trauma. So I'm asking you guys to please get into that inbox, strategiceyes@gmail.com, and drop me any links or any documents or any information that you have on this young woman, Alyssa Petrov, so I can cover this. And we're going to have our research crew doing what they do anyway. They're going to do an excellent job, but I'm all about, sourcing. I'm sourcing, because there might be stuff that the research crew might miss, that I might miss, that Aki might miss, that you guys might know of. Facebook pages, Instagrams, X's, drop those links inside of the email, because this is the next case I'm going to be covering, man. I appreciate you guys. All right, so let's go to the next one here. Bring it back to me. Let's get to the next video. So this one right here is them talking to the neighbors who have like these hunting cameras. I forgot what they call them, the official name. I don't hunt. This kind of like trail cameras. That's what they call them, trail cameras. And so they're talking about the trail cameras that they were able to get from the scene. And we're going to get into some of these articles about the lie detector test, etc.
Melissa Scott's trail cameras might contain clues about the disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan. RCMP asked her for days of footage as the investigation into the missing children approaches the 3-week mark.
It's scary, especially not knowing what happens. We definitely keep our kids a little closer to home now.
The 4- and 6-year-olds were reported missing from this home on May 2nd, launching a massive search of the woods surrounding the home. No trace has been found, and RCMP haven't ruled out the case is suspicious. This is some of the footage Scott gave police. She says RCMP major crimes officers came to her home this week, asking for everything on her 7 cameras, starting April 27th, 5 days before the kids were reported missing. 2 of Scott's neighbors were also asked to provide footage to RCMP. She says the officers also asked about her family's vehicles to rule out local traffic in the footage.
Possibly they are wondering if they didn't go missing earlier, or maybe somebody who isn't local to the area was around beforehand.
This road is the most direct path from Scott's property to the home the kids went missing from. We drove between the 2 places. It's about an 18-minute drive down rough dirt roads. Straight through the woods, it's about 5 kilometers.
I did mention to them that I was very happy to see them and glad that they were canvassing a little further and looking at trail cam footage. And they did respond saying that they probably should have been around earlier.
RCMP would
Wow.
not.
So basically, she's acknowledging that the police are actually acknowledging that they're kind of dropping the ball a little bit. I personally believe listen, I'm in America. We go by a different standard than Canada. We're going to talk about that because the Canadians apparently have a different standard on how you can conduct yourself when you are critiquing or just looking into and advocating these stories on social media. That's a different country. I don't fall under that country's jurisdiction. One thing I agree with is that we should not be using these platforms to bully people. We should not be doing that. We should not be using these platforms to incite any type of harm on anybody. I will speak out against that. I've said that for Jen Soto, one of the big cases that I cover, and Stephen Stearns. Specifically for Jen Soto, I said if anybody is harassing, haranguing, following, whatever, stalking, whatever this person, they should go to jail. We have a criminal justice system for a reason. It is our duty to allow the process to play itself out and to respect the criminal justice system, not take justice in our own hands, all right? I'm not a fan of that at all, right? But we come here on these platforms because we want to bring awareness to these children. Because if we don't talk about it, I'm telling you right now as a professional, if you don't talk about it, it disappears. The pressure goes low because you got to understand, every single day a new case comes up that's going to be demanding the same or even more attention. And you only have but a limited amount of resources to put out there to work these cases. So the cases that have the most media attention are the cases that are going to get the most resources. If we stop talking about Lilly and Jack, which is what, the RMCP, what do they call themselves? The RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and the Nova Scotia officials, if we listen to them and we shut our mouths, the pressure is off of them. With all this pressure that we have on them, they still took too long to canvass this far out, to look for the cameras that they're looking for. How do we know this? This lady told us. She just told us that they admitted that they should have done a better job canvassing. So for the people who live in Canada and maybe grow up in a different culture and society and have different views and values on these things, you might look at the YouTubers and you might say, oh, you guys are doing too much, man. Like, this is a Canadian issue. Stay out of it. Well, number one, I have an international audience and I have a lot of Canadians that are following the American cases that I'm covering. So it's not fair that you can follow our cases, but we can't follow yours. But that's a juvenile argument. I'm not going to make that argument. The argument the only argument I'm going to make is that we care. It doesn't matter if it's a kid in Zimbabwe. It doesn't matter, because I'm going to cover a story in South Africa where a mother and her boyfriend were given life sentences because they sold their 6-year-old daughter to a witch, a warlock, or whatever. And they still can't find the kid. And some people are thinking that the kid was sold for body parts. It doesn't matter if you're in South Africa, Zimbabwe, Ukraine, Canada, or good old US of A. A child is a child, and we have a duty as good people to advocate for them. And so, yes, a total stranger that lives in New York and not in Canada, I'm going to advocate for that child, a child that doesn't even look like any of my kids. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And that's the only thing that matters, our shared and common humanity. And that's why we're going to advocate for this child. So I'm sorry if some of us YouTubers are hurting these Canadian sensibilities of saying nothing on social media for fear of whatever sanctions these folks do to each other in their country. No disrespect. But that's not how we do here in this country. And we're going to keep fighting for children regardless. So let's keep going.
Not answer CBC's questions, including why they are seeking trail camera footage from before the disappearance and why they are identifying local vehicles. Nicola Sagan, CBC News, Glengarry Station, Nova Scotia.
All right, perfect, man. That's a really good video right there. So what I want to do is now this one is interesting. This one talks about something we talked about yesterday with the fact that the children were observed the day before. We covered this already, but within this article that I found, it has some interesting facts, something that I personally did not know before that really elucidates to me just how unlikely it is to me that these kids wandered off in the woods and are now gone in the woods. Because if they're in the woods by themselves, at this point, they're no longer with us. We're approaching a month. That's just reality. But I don't think that they wandered in the woods. They were either placed in the woods or they were abducted. But the problem that we have with this case is that the police have already ruled out abduction. And there might be good reason for that, because my understanding is that they collected a lot of camera footage and ring footage, etc., that are along this road. And you don't need to have an entire road covered to know who traversed the road. If you're able to get a camera from the house a mile down and there's no other outlets after this after this house, then you know that every car that went past this house would have to go past Lilly and Jack's house, because there's no other inlets or outlets past that house. So this is the house right here. After the house, it's just a straight road. So I'm giving an example. I'm not saying that this is exactly how Lilly and Jack's situation is. I'm explaining to you as a detective how we would be able to determine what cars went along a specific road. So if you're canvassing and you have the house on, this is Lilly and Jack's house in the middle, and you have the houses on either side of the house, and there's no outlets and inlets to those roads in between these houses, you're going to be able to tell, okay, the house, there's a car that goes past at 315 here. And then we see that car go past that last house at 317. And you measure the distance between house A and house C. Because A is the first house, B is Lilly and Jack's house, and C is the last house. Lilly and Jack house being in the middle. And I'm sorry, guys. Once again, if you're just popping in, I am a little bit under the weather. That's why I'm jacking myself up with caffeine. So I'm sorry if my voice kind of goes in and out. Judging from the times that you see this car going from point A to point B, number one, you know two things. You know what car went past. And number two, you know how long that person was traveling on the road. You know if that person stopped. Based off of, you actually put camera footage into certain computer systems that can measure how fast the bit rate of the camera, the frame rate, the whole nine, and then it can calculate how fast the car is going as it goes past that camera. And if the car is going at 40 miles an hour, and just throwing out a number there, it would take 1 minute and 30 seconds for it to go from house A to house C, and you see that car come past house C within an average time of what you expected it to come, you know that most likely that car didn't stop. You know that car didn't stop. You also can, maybe if you're lucky, get a license plate from that car. And now you can investigate that person who's in that car without them even knowing that they're being investigated in many instances. And that's how you rule people out. My understanding is that they're doing that. They're getting the footage from various houses along that road to know what cars traverse down there. So maybe that's the reason why they're saying that they're ruling out abduction. Maybe they have proof that there weren't cars driving past that road at that specific time that could possibly be an abductor. I don't know, because in Canada they keep a tight lip on this information. But in the absence of me knowing, I feel that it's it's a little premature to rule out abduction because it limits the options that we have. So the Canadians don't want us to speculate on whether the parents had anything to do with this most likely tragedy it's going to be. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves here, right? But you've limited the options that we have. And this article is going to show you just how limited our options are, right? So real quick, big shout out to Stony Baloney Barb with a $1.99 super sticker. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Let me just respond here. Sorry, that's an important message that I was sending there. So big shout out to Stony Baloney Barb. And you know what? I was on another screen, so I don't know if somebody else sent some love. Let me just go over here before I get into the article. That's it. Just Stony Baloney Barb. You're the only one that showed me love. No, just joking. We're not like that on this show. All right. So now let's go to that article, right? So let's go up here. Sure, we'll read it from the beginning. RCMP in Nova Scotia are looking for more video footage of two young children who vanished nearly 4 weeks ago and are now confirming the siblings were seen in public with family members the day before being reported missing. Lilly and Jack Sullivan, aged 6 and 4, were reported missing from their home in Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia on May 2nd. In a Wednesday update, RCMP said they confirmed the two were observed in public with family members on the afternoon of May 1st based on details they've gathered. They later clarified that confirmation was made by both video evidence and eyewitness accounts. Okay. This is excellent because we now have a timetable. We've narrowed it down to 24, 26, 28 hours, right? Depending on what time they were seen on that day prior to them going missing. Because before we had a couple of days because they didn't go to school. Now we know that these two beautiful angels were alive and well at least a day prior to being reported missing. This is good. It's excellent for the investigation. So let's keep going. Police said investigators have collected hours of video from the area surrounding Lansdowne Station. We're now asking anyone who has dash cam footage or video along Gerlach Road between 12 p.m. and April 20th and 12 p.m. on May 2nd to contact us. RCMP said investigators have received and are following up on more than 355 tips. They've also interviewed in excess of 50 people and have more interviews planned in the upcoming days. Now, 50 people is a lot for a community that has just a couple hundred people. So they're definitely pounding the pavement, putting the boots on the ground, and they're canvassing. They're trying to find witnesses. Let's keep going. Police said they've committed to exploring all possibilities when it comes to this case, which means in American speak, they're not American, but if that was said in America, that means that the parents are suspects. Now listen, being a suspect does not mean that you did anything wrong. It's just that you're the last two people to see these two people. And because you're the last two people to see these young folks who were in your charge, who were 6 and 4, unable to care for themselves, yes, questions should be asked about you. Questions that will exonerate you or questions that may lead us to justice. Let's keep going. RCMP officers from various teams are fully engaged in finding out what happened to Lilly and Jack, and we're using all tools and resources to determine the circumstances of their disappearance. We understand people's desire for answers and updates. However, as this is an active investigation, we're unable to discuss details of our ongoing work. Okay. Now, I want to see where that... This is actually what I wanted to read. I thought it was on that article, but this is what I wanted to read. Yes. Lilly and Jack face unbelievable conditions search review. This is why I'm perplexed that the Canadians don't want to release any information. I'm not saying Canadians like it's all Canadians. Come on. Canadian citizens are here with us in this chat. They want to find out what happened to Lilly and Jack, just like the rest of us, okay? It's not Canadians. We're talking about RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, okay? They don't want to give us information. They don't want to tell us what's going on. They don't want us to talk about what's going on. If you're in Canada, they can't tell Americans what to do. But yet they give us information that gives them less space to operate as far as public perception. They box themselves in a corner by saying, this is not an abduction. So now check this out. This is not an abduction. That's what the Canadian officials have told us. But read what this says. Missing children Lilly and Jack Sullivan and the people searching for them are facing unbelievable conditions, according to the Nova Scotia Ground Search and Rescue Association. Lilly 6 and Jack 4 went missing from their Nova Scotia home on May 2nd and are believed to have wandered into the heavily wooded area surrounding their home. Let's keep going. Sherry Vernot, president of the Nova Scotia GSRA, told Newsweek that this area is almost impassable, not impossible, but impassable, due to fallen trees from Hurricane Fiona in 2022. Royal Canadian Mounted Police told Newsweek they are assessing and reviewing their search from the weekend of May 17th and 18th in order to plan future steps. Did you guys understand what that person just said? This is the person whose their specialty is searching for people in rough terrain. And they've just told us that this terrain has unbelievable conditions and is almost impassable for the adults that are searching for these kids. So basically what you're telling us is that it's highly unlikely that Lilly and Jack could get far in this terrain. So the Royal Canadian Mounted Police told us it's not an abduction. The president of the GSRA, which is the Ground Search and Rescue Team, is telling us the terrain is almost impassable around that house. So where's the kids? Where's the kids? If nobody took them, and if they can't get but a couple of feet into the brush without getting stuck, where's the kids? But we can't look at the parents. We can't look at the parents, says the Canadian officials. We can't ask questions. We should not be accusing people of anything. That's not cool. I'm not saying that, but we can't talk about what do the parents know that we don't know. Even though the officials who have all the information, who are the gatekeepers of information, who are constantly telling us, we're not telling you anything, we're not giving you anything, be quiet, stay in your lane, let the pros do their job. They're telling us though, but by the way, nobody abducted these children. And also, it's almost impossible for these kids to get deep in these woods. So where's the kids? So now that we're asking ourselves, where's the kids? Let's talk about the polygraph. Stepfather says he's taken the polygraph test. The disappearance has sparked rampant speculation on social media, much of it targeting the children's mother and stepfather, Daniel Martell. In an interview Wednesday, Martell reiterated he offered to take a polygraph test, which he says he has now taken place. I do have results, and I don't know if I can share those results, but they were good in my favor. I'll say that, he said. So basically, he shared it with us. He said that he took the lie detector test and he passed it. Okay? I don't know if I could tell you. I'm not going to tell you, but I passed. Okay. We gotta get the other soundboard up. What's wrong with me? That definitely is a classic. Does that make sense?
Does that make sense?
Perfect. It makes perfect sense. Let's do it. We fix this over here and get back into this. I'm sorry, guys. Oh boy, whatever. All right. So, let's keep going. I do have results, and I don't know if I can share those results, but they were good in my favor. I'll say that, he said. He said he is glad police are seeking additional footage and is urging the public to step up and help find the children. Despite not having had contact with the children's mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, since May 3rd when she left the search area, Martell said an RCMP liaison has been assigned to keep them both informed as the investigation progresses. So the stepdad took the test. He passed it. We don't know what questions they asked him. We don't know to what degree he passed. Was there ever deception in any of the questions? Did he sail through with flying colors that he's absolutely telling the truth? We don't know, but we're going to give him grace and we're going to say he passed. At any time, RCMP could say he didn't pass. We don't know. This is what he's telling us, okay? But who's missing? Where's mommy? Where's Malaya? We keep seeing this guy. We keep seeing this guy's mug all over the internet. No disrespect. I don't mean to disrespect him. No disrespect about his mug. We see this guy all over the internet. Whether you think he has something to do with this or not, what is he doing on the internet? What is Daniel Martell doing on the internet? Who's smart in the chat? Everybody should raise their hand because I got the smartest chat on YouTube. What is this man doing on the internet? Whether you think he has something to do with this or not, what is he doing? 3, 2, 1. No takers. He's advocating. He's advocating for those missing children. Somebody said sharing this propaganda. Indiana Sunshine, stop it. Be nice. He's advocating. He's raising awareness, like Nina says. Whether you think he has something to do with it or not, his constant interviews, constant coming forward, constant talking, what is it doing? People want to talk about it. I just covered the fact that he said he took the lie detector test. I'm talking about it. Other people are talking about it. Larger channels are talking about it. Canadian news is talking about it. Lilly and Jack's name is still in the news. What is mommy doing? What is mommy doing, ladies and gentlemen? Where is mommy? Where's Lilly and Jack, ladies and gentlemen? From our understanding, from what the RCMP told us, is Lilly and Jack is in the woods. The search and rescue team is saying, well, I'm not telling you they're not in the woods, but I'm telling you it's hard for those kids to get around. Our adults barely can scale over these massive trees that got knocked down in a hurricane. Man, them trees got knocked down 3 years ago. They still didn't clean it up. Those adults with protective gear on, hiking boots, climbing sticks, helmets, reflective jackets, food in their backpacks and water on their shoulders, they could barely get over those trees. But we supposed to believe that a 4 and a 6-year-old is over there, Dora the Explorer, climbing over these trees and swinging on vines and just having a grand old time building a tree hut out there like Naked and Afraid. That's what we supposed to believe. But by all accounts, they're telling us those kids are still in those woods. But where's mommy? Why mommy not out there in those woods looking for those kids? Mommy's not even in the town anymore, ladies and gentlemen.
Does that make sense?
Mommy's not even in the town anymore. Now, there's nothing that says that mommy can't have a falling out with this stepdad. Mind you, she has a child with this stepdad, so how they have zero contact, I don't understand, because isn't he supposed to see his kid? But there's nothing that says that she has to stay in contact with this guy. They can break up. They can have, this is a very stressful time. People could be blaming each other as to whose fault it is, whatever. People could know things about each other that they don't want to share. Who knows? I'm just throwing it out there to the universe. I'm not accusing anything of anybody of anything. But wouldn't you stay close to your kids? Wouldn't you stay close to your kids? Wouldn't you stay close to where these kids could possibly be found? If they find these babies and these babies are no longer with us, wouldn't you want to be first on the scene to bring those babies home and lay them to rest? Wouldn't you want to be a part of that command center and get those up-to-date information on what's happening with those babies? Mommy's gone. We don't know where she at. So my question is, did she get a test? What's the result of her test? Because I'm getting the feeling, my personal opinion, based on no facts and no information from the RCMP or anybody who's on the ground, I'm getting the feeling that I'm playing Uno with Jen Soto, and she just did a reverse Uno and she transformed into a Malaya. That makes sense? I got to do better with these sound effects.
Does that make sense?
Does that make sense to you guys? It seems like she's a reverse Uno Jen Soto. There's a possibility, in my opinion, that she's the Stearns. Instead of the Martell being the Stearns, she's the Stearns minus the other stuff that Stearns was doing. It's always a red flag when a mom doesn't act like a mom. There's some constants in this world. We expect the sky to be blue. It's a constant. And another constant is we know what a good mother is. Not everybody lives up to the bar. But every single person on this planet, whether you had a mom or not, you still biologically know what a good mother is. If you had a bad mother, you can look at your mother and say, that was a bad mother. My mother's a bad mother. I know what the standard of a good mother is, and my mother was a bad mother. We know that we expect certain things from people because it's built into our society, and Canadian society is not foreign to American society. It's not like we're looking at some small village in Timbuktu and we're kind of gauging our Western culture versus this small tribe that has barely had outside contacts culture. No, we're talking about Canadians and Americans. We got the same darn culture. Different constitution, yeah, different rights. You can't talk on the internet with the Canadians. We got freedom here in America. But same culture. We know what a mother is supposed to do. And right now, we've got a mother that's AWOL. We got a mother that's AWOL.
Does that make sense?
Where is Malaya? I'm not saying go find her. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying harass her. I'm not saying that. You leave that lady alone. I'm asking a question. Why isn't she out there looking for those babies? Because the stepdad that came on TV and said, these people are accusing me, he came out and said it. I'll take a lie detector test. He took that test and allegedly he passed it. He's out there saying his piece. Where are you, mommy? Where are you? I got questions, man. That's what I get paid to do. I get paid to ask questions, whether I'm on YouTube or I'm in the real world in an interrogation room. I just ask questions. That's all I do. So let's hear what the Canadians have to say about asking questions, because I don't think they like when people ask questions. They're not feeling questions. We'll wait till this ad goes by, and then we'll see what they got to say about questions. Big shout out to everyone in the room. We got 500 people watching the live stream right now. Please hit that like button, guys. That is paltry. Like, that literally means that you guys think that I'm the worst YouTuber that ever came on the platform when you have 500. There's 299 people who are watching this, and they're like, nah, I'm not, I'm listening to him, but I'm not convinced. I'm not hitting that like button. We're not asking you to hit the like button because you agree with everything I say. This is a channel about us having different theories, and my theory is no better than your theory, right? We all can have our own theories. The like button is just saying, hey, I appreciate the fact that this guy has the courage to show his face on the internet and talk about these sensitive topics. And I want to help him get into the algorithm so he could be shown to a wider audience. That's all the like button does. It exposes the show to the algorithm and gets us to a wider audience. So we really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button and you show your support for the show and you help us get the word out there. Okay, so let's bring it back a little bit. And
Ellen Ealer's disappearance in 2020 instantly sparked despair and concern amongst the public, as many took to social media to speculate on what could have happened to the boy who had seemingly vanished mere seconds of being left alone in his grandmother's yard. But online theories quickly spiraled into unproven information, some users going as far as accusing his parents of killing their child. Ealer's parents have never been charged in their son's disappearance and filed a civil case against 2 Facebook users that ended in a court settlement. But 5 years later, as another missing children's case rocks the province, widespread speculation has returned.
Similar to what we dealt with on the Ealer case, there are a lot of online rumors that I'm noticing online, and a lot of accusations against the parents.
6-year-old Lilly and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan were reported missing from their home in Lansdowne Station on May 2nd. A police investigation into the missing children is ongoing, but that hasn't deterred the public from launching an unofficial investigation of its own on sites like Facebook, Reddit, and X.
With respect to the spread of misinformation, inaccurate information, and speculation, I just want to say that's harmful. It's harmful to the families and communities who are trying to work their way through a traumatic event. And so I really want to encourage people to be kind.
There's a lot.
Yo, that is so Canadian. Be kind. I'm American. We don't talk about kindness. We talk about guns. Let's keep going. I'm joking.
Of information, and the police have to follow up on every lead. But when a lot of it ends up being rumors, it's taking away from valid calls that they're getting and valid information that they would like to follow up on.
And the average social media sleuth could be risking far more than a slap on the wrist.
If it rises to the level of criminal harassment or threats, the police will certainly get involved and there can be criminal charges laid.
I mean, listen, as far as what she's saying there, I totally agree with that. I mean, that'll happen in America. If you're out here, making threats against people, their personal safety, their lives, etc., you're encouraging people to go track people down and stalk them and harangue them. That's unacceptable. And like I've said that 1,000 times on this channel, especially when we talk about sensitive topics like the Madeline Soto case. I've said it time and time again. If you go and you bother these people, the Stearns, the parents of Stephen Stearns, you bother Jennifer Soto and her family, you need to go to jail. I've heard people say mean things about Jennifer Soto's mother and father, Madeline Soto's grandparents. And you guys know I rail against everybody that does not reach the bar of the expectations of them being a parent, because that's your job. You chose to lay down and make children. You have a duty to protect these kids. I've done a deep dive into, as a respectful dive, that is, I'm not looking at people's personal life, but I've looked at the evidence, and it just looks like the grandparents of Madeline Soto loved her and treated her great. And the auntie loved her niece and treated her great. When I look at the evidence, the only person that appeared to be negligent was Jen Soto. So that's why I localize my criticism to the person we actually have evidence of, right? We have her saying, well, the ex wasn't bad, but the murder was, like who says that? What kind of mother says something like that, right? So, but for some reason, people just want to blame people just because they happen to be in that sphere when the tragedy happens. That's not where you do business, right? You don't do business like that. You don't just take collateral damage, right? You focus the criticism on the people who deserve it. So I've always been a proponent to say, you know what? I may not like some of the things that the Sterns say on these phone calls that we've listened to, we cover on this channel, but leave them alone. And even Jen Soto, she has not been charged with a crime, so leave her alone. We could critique her on YouTube, absolutely, but don't ever threaten and harass her, right? And the same thing goes for Lilly and Jack's parents. We have questions, but we don't have any facts that says they did anything wrong. So don't bother these people on the internet or in the real world. Because whether you're in America, Zimbabwe, South Africa, London, or Canada, you should be charged if you are making people feel unsafe without any evidence that proves that they even deserve that at this point. But I certainly believe that it should be okay for people to ask questions. Because like we said before, excuse me, I said cold again, my throat is getting congested. As I said before, if you don't bring awareness to these cases, they disappear. They disappear. I know that. You guys know that. If you don't bring awareness to these cases, if you don't talk about these cases like we're talking about them right now, there's no urgency to solve them. The next case will come and this one will be placed on a back burner and we'll never find out what happened to Lilly and Jack. If those children are in those woods in whatever condition, it's going to take 100 people out there searching to eventually find them. Do you think what's the probability of us finding them if there's 100 people out there because there's media attention on this case versus 5 people out there or none? Or just a hunter out there minding his business and now he stumbles upon them? What is the odds? Well, listen. Quite often it does happen that hunter is the one that finds those missing people or remains or whatever it is. But you have a higher probability if you have 100 people out there looking. Anyway, let's keep going.
On a civil side, the victims of these bullying posts do have some avenue to get justice. So they can file an action in Supreme Court for a cyber protection order, and a judge can order the people that are posting to stop, to take down posts, to remove groups from online, and even to the extent that, depending on the harm that is done, damages can be awarded against the offending party.
And for anyone who is experiencing cyberbullying or is worried about information that's circulating about themselves, they can reach out to CyberScan to get supports with that.
Ella MacDonald, Global News.
All right, so I just want to point out, just to be accurate, this is for Canadian citizens. This does not apply to any of the international audience, but I do think that it's best practices to be respectful in the way that they're asking for us YouTubers and social media folks to show respect. So I agree with them. We should have a level of civility and a level of personal accountability to make sure that we're doing our best to be respectful with the content and with the people involved. But I do not agree that we should not talk about this. I'm sorry. Maybe it's because I'm American and we're very skeptical of our governments, period. That's why us Americans, we need to have our guns. We never know when we got to take our country back, you know what I'm saying? Or defend it from people from the north. I'm just joking, guys. I'm not going to trust the government to always do the right thing. And I'm a government worker, and I'm telling you, don't always trust the government to do the right thing. And that's why I feel like we should have the right. Well, I have the right, but I pray and wish that my Canadian brothers and sisters up north would have the right as well to talk about these cases without fear of censorship from their government or retaliation from the people that we rightfully should be able to question. Because remember this, guys, and we'll leave it here and call it a day. Remember this, and I don't want to sound cruel and callous or mean-spirited, but a fact is a fact. And I also take into account that any one of us could be in this position. But a fact is a fact. We're only talking about this situation because to some degree, only a court could determine that degree. But to some degree, these parents were negligent. Because at the end of the day, regardless of whether you're in bed or not, it's your responsibility to be responsible for your children. So we're only here talking about these kids because these parents did not properly monitor their children. In a home that's not big, and that's not me throwing any slight at them due to their living conditions, not at all. You guys know I grew up in poverty. I don't even know if these people are poor. I don't know their culture. They may have more money than anybody watching this stream, and they just choose to live off the grid. Living in a trailer off the grid does not mean that you're poor. I don't know these people, and I don't pretend to judge them. What I'm saying is, by square footage, pure science, forget about people's feelings, by square footage, that's not a big dwelling. And they had one job, ladies and gentlemen. We all have one job. And that job is to protect the children. And we're only talking about this because they failed. They failed. Mommy detailed to us how supposedly she's sleeping, supposedly she's laying down, supposedly she's not. I don't freaking know. I don't know. All I know is that this lady gave an interview where she's talking about she's in the bed with her baby daddy and her infant, and she hears the kids, and the kids sound like they're in the next room, but then they go through the sliding door. How does she know they went through the sliding door? I don't know. And then now they're outside playing, and now there's nothing. Well, at what point are you going to get up out of your bed to figure out what's going on? Are 4- and 6-year-olds supposed to be leaving the house alone, especially when you tell us that these aren't the type of kids to leave the house on their own? So some people say, well, you know, my kid grew up in a homestead and they're out there driving tractors. That was a really cool comment. I loved it. I engaged with them. It was one of my viewers who has a farm and is raising their children on a farm. And their kids are around the age of Lily and they're driving tractors and stuff like that. Well, guess what? Malaya told us that that's not her kids. They don't do that. They're not homestead kids. They're not outside kids. They're not wood kids. They're not Dora the Explorer kids. It's uncharacteristic of them to leave the house on their own without permission. So if you have children where it's uncharacteristic of them to do these things and you're in your bed and you hear these things, wouldn't you get up and go figure out what's going on? Wouldn't you say, hey, you know, I can't hear the kids. Let's go out there. Or they sound like they're outside. That should be enough right there to get you out your bed. When they sound like they're outside, like she said, that should have been enough for her to run outside because these kids don't belong outside unsupervised. According to mommy, they're not those type of kids. It's not a normal occurrence. It's not what they do on a regular basis that mommy's like, who cares? We live in the boonies. Where they gonna go? So don't anybody ever forget, the only reason why we're here asking these questions is because they did not properly supervise their kids. If they did, well, we'd be talking about something else. Since they didn't, we're going to do our best as collective human citizens of the world, of planet Earth, of collective humanity, and bring awareness to these children until they're found and we get finality, whatever that may be. Whether it's a tragic accident, whether it's foul play, whatever it may be, we're going to bring awareness until these children are brought home. I love you guys immensely, man. I hope you guys had a great live. I hope it was a little bit informative and you learned a couple of things. I appreciate you guys for supporting the channel. Let me go ahead and make sure I didn't miss any super chats or anything like that. Oh, quite a few. Stony Baloney Barb with a $5 super chat. Subscribe and like, everyone. Strategic works hard to share his expert perspective. Thank you so much, Stony Baloney. That's very kind of you. And Marcia Klepper with a $5 super chat is showing the love. Thank you, Marcia. Appreciate you. That's very kind of you as well. You guys have been great and very patient, and I really appreciate you donating your time to me, because I'm pretty sure there's more precious things you could do than just staring at a screen and listening to my sultry voice talking about true crime. Jamie MP celebrating 7 months as a White Shield member. She says, take care, everyone. All right, guys, let me set up that outro. Remember, we do have a membership. You've seen a whole bunch of the members inside of the chat. I'd love to see you join them. Hit that join button and become a member of True Crime Strategic. We do exclusive live shows for the membership. We also drop videos oftentimes for the membership first before we give it to everybody else. So consider supporting the channel and joining the membership. Also, we have a Patreon, and on that Patreon, we have Strategic Eyes Uncut and Raw. You get to see the gangster side of me. Now, I don't play those games. The gangster stuff. That's stupid. So ignorant. I'm a cultured man, okay? I'm an educated professional man. I do get gangster sometimes, though. But anyway, you get to see the raw and uncut Strategic Eyes. We do have some very, very tough conversations. Sometimes we go beyond true crime. We talk about social issues. We talk about a little bit of politics. Nothing that's polarizing that's going to make people lose their minds. I know people are very serious about their politics. We don't try and offend anybody, but we do have a more overall show that you can get more of my opinions on life as well as true crime. I think it's awesome. It can get a little contentious and heated at times, but I think people like it. People are here for it. So we can only do that on the Patreon. We can't do that on the membership, unfortunately, because YouTube likes to censor, and I don't like censorship, okay? So all the uncut, raw stuff, you know, we bring that over to the Patreon. So consider becoming a member of the Patreon as well. And lastly, we do have new merch that we're dropping that's inside of our store. You can hit that link for Dashery that you'll see from the Nightbot. Hit that link, go on over there, get some merch. The merch is awesome. It looks really nice. We are taking submissions from anybody who wants to send us any designs or anything that they want to see in the store. Send it to us and we'll gladly put it in our store if we like it. And one last thing before we go, guys, we have some people who are in the chat that work very, 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 very hard. And that's my moderators. Erica B, Aki, David, and so many other people, A Obsidian, etc. Jules, the whole nine. We have so many people. Susan, so many people who are a part of our mod team. Many of them have been with me for many years. Many of them have been new. They work very, 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 very hard to keep this chat civil. We don't stop people from having freedom of speech. You don't have to like what I'm doing here. You don't have to agree with your fellow chat members. We just ask people to be civil. And so many people tell me that this is one of the most civil chats where they feel safe to express themselves. And it's not because of me. I'm busy hosting this show, delivering this information to you guys. It's because of the moderators. So please consider giving some coffee to those folks for their hard work. And many of the mod team and people who are not a part of the mod team are part of our research crew. So the research crew shares in the coffee as well. So they do really good work, the research crew, and we definitely appreciate them. So show love, give some coffee to these folks so that they can be rewarded for their hard work. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let me cue up that outro. I'm exhausted because I'm not feeling well. I can't even go yet. I got to give a big shout out. I was just about to get out of here, but Shanitra speaks, and I got to give a big shout out to Shanitra speaks. My nose is all stuffy. Sorry, Shanitra. My nose is stuffy, and I'm trying to show you love, and I can't even get your name out. I should just go blow my nose, but the show is almost over. Shanitra speaks with a 5 gift membership, but I appreciate her gift membership. But there's more important things to talk about when it comes to Shanitra Speaks. I really like the work that Shanitra is doing, advocating for these kids. I don't even know if that's her mission to advocate for these kids, but that's what I see her doing. And I really like the hard work that she's doing. She's really good at gathering stuff on social media, you know, putting it together in a really good narrative. She's got a really good YouTube channel. You know, I don't have the biggest platform, But I definitely would say with what little people subscribe to me, that I would definitely recommend that you go and you subscribe to Shanitra Speaks. I personally believe she's going to be a huge YouTuber. And when you've got your 1 million subscribers, Shanitra, don't forget Strategic when I still got 87,000 subscribers. Let them know that there's a silly old cop in his little small corner of YouTube that just wants to bring awareness to these little children. She's got something special going on over there. Just keep going, Shanitra. You know, keep going. Keep pushing out the content. Keep staying true to yourself. Stay out of YouTube drama and beef. And you're going to see your show grow very, very big. There's always space in this world for people who are advocating for the children. And so I'm here for it because that's what I'm trying to do. And they need as many voices as possible. So thank you for the love, Shanitra. Thanks for coming to my channel, breaking bread with me, and giving 5 people the opportunity to become a part of my membership. And I really do wish you the best. And I hope to see you more. And I'm always watching your material. I'm always watching your material, so keep up the good work. That being said, guys, I'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.